Hello, Tyler Bryden here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. What are we looking at? Comes out. Mistral. Microsoft announced new partnership to accelerate AI innovation and introduce Mistral Large first on Azure. So why is this important? I think what was interesting, I have a video somewhere on this. I couldn't find my own video, which is never a good sign. But last year, it was announced a huge fundraise. I think it was like 110 million euros was part of that fundraise. And immediately criticism around it. This company just started and already getting this much money. Is this just a hype cycle at its peak? Where is this money going? Why is it going to this team? Now, what's interesting, the question of why this team, researchers who have been working at Meta and Google DeepMind, so pretty strong credibility right now. What was interesting, and I think one of the bigger central threads through here today is that they claim to be supporting open source. And some of the releases, why they got so much excitement were because of the open source release nature of them. They've even done some very fascinating things with how they've released these models. Now, releasing it through BitTorrent, along with that, benchmarks in this space have been very important. Mistral, with this open source model in a very short timeline, with obviously, yes, large set of resources, built models that were very competitive with GPT 3.5 and in some instances 4, which was a pretty big breakthrough at the time. And with a new release here, so this is the story breaking today, new model to rival GPT-4, Mistral's large model, designed to rival other competitors, including GPT-4, Claude 2, these private organizations who are building privately. And we can see some of these benchmarks here. Now, overall, GPT-4 still relatively dominant, but things are changing a little bit. The model is starting to look a little bit more like OpenAI, $8 million for a million of input tokens, 24 per million of output tokens. Ooh, that seems expensive. We're already starting to see that. And then they've also launched a chat assistant today, which is called LeChat. So the French quirks now starting to emerge. And where did we start this conversation originally? We started it on the Microsoft and Mistral AI partnership. So while I guess Google, Alphabet sort of getting hammered with all their woke generation and large language models and all that stuff, too many memes going on here right now. And I think we'll see the response to this. But Microsoft continuing to really lead forward here with Mistral Large first on Azure. Obviously, Microsoft, through their relationship with OpenAI, Azure Studio, and long history of technology, has really become, besides NVIDIA, the leader in this space, if we think of it as incumbents and just by market cap. So for them to now work closely with Mistral is a continued driver in that direction, and also allows them to, I think what we realize is like OpenAI in a way probably wouldn't exist in the same capacity if Microsoft hadn't built that relationship with them and allowed them to build on their cloud. So Azure's cloud is continuing to dominate here, specifically in AI. And with now Mistral, at least this non-open source version now on Azure, it opens up accessibility and resources that they didn't really have before. And we've seen Amazon make investments in Anthropic, Google make investments in Anthropic. So this movement is starting to happen, and Microsoft laid the chips down here with Mistral. And what's fascinating is it seems like a big deal, not only to Mistral, but to Microsoft. Nice press releases here everywhere. Lots of talk and lots of conversation online about this today, and covered by many resources, because these two stories intertwining: the dominance of Microsoft in leading the AI movement, and then a team that was really coming together quickly, being able to have the technical talent, the fundraising talent to then build these models, release them, have very incredible potential through an open source manner, now in a way transitioning to the non-open source. And I think this is what we'll continue to see happen as the resources required to grow in this space, the access to data, to servers become, we're going to see a reduction in that cost, but at the same time, it's still very expensive, hundreds of millions of dollars to do the training required. And these teams, same conclusion that OpenAI came from, is as a nonprofit, this is not feasible. And maybe Mistral had that same realization through the open source mechanism, or maybe that was placed on them through their investors or through the fiscal responsibilities of these investments. So Mistral Large, have yet to test, but quite interesting. General purpose, very good at mathematics, can handle different languages. And again, with the accessibility and ease of integration through Azure, how many organizations this just opens up to is very fascinating. I would say this puts them in these foundational models bucket with API access through big cloud providers like Anthropic, OpenAI, Cohere, and now Mistral. If I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm interested to see commentary on this open source model, as this was a big announcement. But realistically, through those benchmarks, the second ranked model, I guess, in the world. And we'll see where OpenAI comes back in this. And we've obviously got Google models behind some doors, but accessible and opening up more accessibility, if not nerfed completely. And then we've got Anthropic here too. And these are all starting to now one-up each other and even try to compete on release days or moments like this, seeming to want to get ahead of that cycle. It was also interesting, Microsoft said, hey, investment, but doesn't hold equity in the company. So under scrutiny is that. And then under regulatory scrutiny in Europe, this is what we've already seen, problems with how they're looking at OpenAI. And I'm guessing similar problems for how they're looking at Mistral. And so maybe they didn't want to go that route and face those challenges in this version or iteration with Mistral. And this is not exclusive either. Also been working with other organizations, with Amazon and Google also distributing models over the next few months. The overall parent statement investment, 2 billion euro. A lot of money. Not quite OpenAI money, but getting there. And they've been very savvy and efficient with the capital that they've had to date. I have not tested LeChat yet. Apparently was flooded on release. And you can see the sign up for LeChat here, which I will not sign up for on this exact video, but will sign up for and test. I would love to see the performance of it and overall speed and everything there. And you can see a little bit of commentary from Microsoft and on the old X Twitter, talking about ruining open models, although they've advertised their dedication, and I've obviously got the famous developer's speech, Satya himself, on this announcement here today, and the memes emerge. So where does this leave me? First of all, I think we've got another great foundation model company in the making, already made really, but continuing to grow, and now with more investment, more capacity. And that's, I think, a good thing for the market and people's questions around, hey, where is this all going to end up? And is this just more monopolies being created? Now, because Microsoft is fostering some of these companies so much, maybe that is already done. And I think the other piece there is there's this interesting tension. So we've had calls with Amazon where they've, in an interesting way, have this friction of how they promote models within their system. So I believe it's Amazon Bedrock. You can access Cohere, you can access these foundational models, Anthropic, and we're tapped into all these models already. So why go through you if we can just go direct to the source? What's the benefits and permissions and billing and credits if you're a startup, all of that. But it's a very fine line they're walking with explicit statements about how, hey, you're good that way, but if you want to come in here, we'll accept you. And so what's fascinating is to see all these embeddings of foundational models into Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. And what happens here is they're going to be a rug pull at some point. Obviously, Amazon and all these companies are building their own model. We've got Amazon Titan doing certain tasks. And at some point, they're going to want to feed that data directly to that model and see that start to grow and take market size. So then at that point, what happens? Do they start to de-promote, unpromote Cohere and Anthropic and Mistral and these other foundational models to promote themselves? Delicate line that they're walking right now. And I think that's makes sense because the performance of their models is not there yet. It's not maybe publicly accessible in the same way. And so they just want to eat up the market and interact through their cloud interface right now, with plans to obviously build and excel these other companies and one day have their model or models ruling this space. So congrats to Microsoft, congrats to Mistral. Very interesting to see this play out. We'll be following this sort of shift to non-open source. I think I'm owner of a company, but I'm a big believer in open source, but also see, where some of these limitations may come for and why they were forced to make this decision, or maybe they made it free of mind. I'm not sure. And then just overall to continue to see this competitive, fast momentum and one-upping that's emerging in this space right now. I'll drop some links in this video below. I hope you got some insights out of the video and how I was thinking or framing this. And again, breaking news, so there might be more that comes out of it. But if you are interested in continuing your interaction with AI, we've got a great foundational model that is now available in Microsoft through APIs, LeChat, and we'll also see these in other platforms moving forward. So congrats to everyone again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.